Hello Africa and welcome to another edition of Impact Stories on AAU TV. AAU TV, the voice of higher education in Africa. My name is Irene Dufie Addai and I am going to be your host of this conversation. We'll go for a short break and when we come back, I would introduce to you my guest for today's discussion.
This is Africa's most friendly nation, Ghana. A warm reception awaits you in an environment where you can discover and harness your full potential. Your home is an academic haven lying northeast of the city center, a quick dash from the airport. A spirited community where young, vibrant minds are empowered to express themselves, break academic boundaries, and thrive in an atmosphere of rich cultural heritage and excellence in various collegiate and extracurricular activities. This institution represents a whole new world of fun and offers you a variety of activities, facilities, and services geared towards your total development. Believing in the uniqueness of all our students, we encourage them to pursue excellence in integrity. Welcome to the University of Ghana, your preferred academic destination.
Welcome back. My celebrant for today's discussion is Professor Bortei-Doku Aryeetey, who was the former Director of Social Policy Studies in College of Humanity, University of Ghana. Thank you, Madam, for joining us today.
You're welcome.
And we are privileged to have you here. I know you are on the quiet side, but today we would have to celebrate you. We would have to show the world what you've done, and then we are grateful for your time. So thank you so much for joining.
You're most welcome.
All right. So before we zoom in into our discussion, we want to know who you are, but we want to know from your childhood, your family, your siblings, who are they, and then the school you went in the primary, when you started.
Okay. Well, I'm the fifth of 9 children
Okay.
of Professor and Mrs. Bortei-Doku of blessed memory,
Right.
both of them. And now we are 6 because 3 of my siblings have passed on.
Okay.
So I was sitting right in the middle of the 9.
Right.
And 4 boys, 5 girls. And we lived in Kumasi for a long time,
Okay.
where my father was the director of the Kwadaso Agric Station, was an agriculturist.
Yeah.
Before we moved to Accra, and he became a professor at the University of Ghana.
Okay.
So I spent nearly 20 years of my young life on the UG campus
Okay.
before I went to school and came back there to work. Yes.
So we want to know about your siblings. Where did you take your primary school and then your friends?
Primary school.
Yeah.
I started primary school in Kumasi at Kumasi Ridge School.
Yeah. That was a good school. It's
It
still
was a good school, and I think it's still there.
Yes, it is.
And then when we left Kumasi and came to Accra, I went to about 3 different schools before I finally found my school.
Okay.
And I finished primary school at Ghana International School at Cantonments,
Right.
whilst my siblings were shipped off to the university primary school.
Okay.
So that was my primary school education.
Yeah. Do you remember some of your friends in the primary?
I tell you, I still have friends from Kumasi Ridge.
Really?
Recently, we found a photograph
Right.
in which at least 3 of us were in the picture, and they are still my friends because we went on from there, met again at Achimota School,
Okay.
where I did my secondary school education
Yeah.
in the 1970 year group. We are celebrating 50 years after leaving, of being in Achimota this year.
That's great.
Yeah.
So where did you have your first university education?
I did my first degree at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology.
That is why I completed.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yes. I studied sociology and geography at UST, KNUST now.
Yeah.
And then I went from there to do my master's at the University of Reading in the UK.
Yeah.
And from Reading, I went to Michigan State University to do my PhD.
That's okay, but I will take you back to
Okay.
USD
Okay.
at that time.
Okay.
Why did you choose sociology? Was there a reason for that particular course?
Why did I choose sociology? Interestingly, I went to UST to study geography.
Okay.
And then I did. I also, you had to enroll in 3 courses. So I did geography, English, and sociology. And I realized that I enjoyed sociology more than the others, principally because it was about people and their ways of life and the different circumstances that people find themselves in. And sociology tries to explain how, or why we end up in the circumstances that we do as a people.
Yeah. So after sociology first degree, you went to the UK. Why didn't you continue here in Ghana?
In Ghana,
went to
the
UK.
At the time I left university, it was very common to go out to do your graduate studies.
Right.
Because then, though we had graduate studies in Ghana at these universities, the programs were not, in my view, as
up to the standard.
No, they were not as well established.
Okay.
And I know people will raise questions about that, but there were challenges, with those programs. Having said that, I could have done it if but I had the opportunity to go out. I applied for a scholarship and I got one. So I went to Reading on a British Council scholarship. I am sure if I had not had that scholarship, I would have happily studied here.
Yeah.
So
how different was it moving the environment from Ghana to UK to study? How different was it from?
How different? It was very different.
Okay.
It was very different. I mean, you were thrown into a new culture. I had been to Britain before as a young person, but going there to study was quite challenging because the routines were a little different, the weather was different, and you were meeting people from different parts of the world, so that was a challenge. The adjustment was quite something.
So from Reading, was it straight to Michigan, or you came back a little before you had gone to...
It's a very interesting story.
Yeah.
I finished Reading in 1978. I was done by September. Then I came home. In that short period, an application I had made to Ford Foundation for a PhD program came through. But by then I was very tired. I really wanted time out. So I came home and I just casually mentioned to my parents that, I have this scholarship to go to Michigan State, but I'm too tired to go. And of course they tried to encourage me, no, just go and finish with it and come back. And then we dropped the subject. A couple of weeks later, my mother said, so when is your flight? I said, no, I want to stay and work. She said, no. You are not staying too. You're going right now. You've got a scholarship. It was a Ford Foundation scholarship, quite a good one. And so after barely a month's rest, I was on the last Panam flight to Ghana, heading off to the US to go and do my PhD.
And what was your specialization?
Sociology.
Still sociology. Yes. You still was
focusing on rural sociology and development sociology.
That is very great. And then you came back.
I came back.
Why did you?
Well, every time I've been asked that question, I ask myself, why not? I went to the US never intending to stay. It was always my plan to go and study and come back. And so I even went to work in Malawi, went back to the US, and still came back.
Yeah.
Because that was always my plan.
You know, sometimes people, when they get to places where they feel they have access to
everything.
Yes, access to everything, good
Yes.
health care
Yes.
system,
Yes.
good roads and all of that. They don't want to come back. And then looking at the quality of life over there, they would want to stay.
Yes.
So
Yes.
probably that's why I asked that.
No, I think
Why
people ask that all the time. And there's another way to look at it. You don't have any family there.
Okay.
And family was very important to me, is very important to me. So I always saw myself as a student in the US, as a visitor, and my life was here.
Right.
And so there was never any attraction
For you
to stay, even though, yes, there were a lot of. But America has its own challenges, and when you are not used to having to deal with those kinds of challenges, you don't want to stay.
Stay there.
So
yeah, that's okay. And then you came back. Did you just come back to University of Ghana, or you had other things you were doing before you entered university?
No, I applied to come back to the University of Ghana to teach, to work in a research institute, and I didn't have any other plan. The only other place I would have considered working at the time was the Department of Social Welfare, because my interest was very much in working with people to improve their lives, and so.
Yeah, that's fine. And so coming back to do research, we look at your journey from just doing a research, just a lecturer, to the director of social policy studies and University of Ghana. How has the journey been? Has it been all smooth? Has it been difficult? How has it been?
In 1987, when I started work at the University of Ghana, those were very tough times in the life of this country, and even more so in an educational institution. And so I think if it was difficult in the beginning, that is because we were living in a very difficult time. So I remember when I started teaching, we were still teaching on a blackboard with white chalk.
The university?
Yes, at that time. Before we moved on to whiteboard, before we moved on to, other technologies where we are now. So it hasn't been an easy journey. There were a lot of, bridges to cross, if I may put it that way. And I think some found ways to cross those bridges earlier than others did. And I think I belonged to the group that found the tricks later in life. Thankfully, managed to cross the bridges. But being an academic in Ghana at that time was very difficult. Writing to publish was difficult, and even getting materials to teach. Getting funding to do research. And I was in a research institute for a long time, Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research. That's where I was before I went to work at the Center for Social Policy Studies. So looking back, I'll say I enjoyed the cooperation of colleagues. I was fortunate enough to get some research grants and do some consultancies that enabled me to raise funds for research on the side. But it was a difficult process. It was a difficult process.
So taking us through to how you got to the directorship position.
So in 2006, I think, the director of the Center for Social Policy Studies, the late Professor Nanaraba Apt, of blessed memory, was retiring, and the center was obviously without a head. So I was asked if I wouldn't mind going to what we call CSPS, Center for Social Policy Studies, to help revive it and, change. So I had a joint appointment where I was at ISA, but I was also responsible for the Center for Social Policy Studies. So that was in 2006, and I was there for, I don't know, how many years? About 8 years.
That's a long time.
Before I retired, 7 years maybe.
So we'll go for a quick break, and when we come back, we'll continue with our conversation. In case you just tuned in, this is Impact Stories on AAU TV, and we are celebrating Professor Irene Bortei-Doku Aryeetey. Do stay tuned.
Botswana Accountancy College is a business school that was set up over 2 decades ago to contribute towards the human capital development in Botswana and beyond. BAC has over 20 years diversified its product portfolio to offer accounting, business, leisure, management, and ICT-related programs at undergraduate and postgraduate levels, as well as consultancy short courses to augment professional skills. In achieving this diversification, the college has partnered with UK-based universities of Derby, Sunderland, and Sheffield Hallam University, as well as professional bodies such as SEMA, Beaker, AAT, ACCA, CIA, Cisco, Microsoft, SAP, ESA, and SIPS, to allow our graduates to have a globally recognized qualification and be globally competitive. To learn more about BAC, contact us on 3953-062 in Gaborone or 241-0558 in Francistown, or visit our website on www.bac.ac.bw. Also, you can visit our social media pages on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. BAC, celebrating over 20 years of creating business leaders.
Welcome to Impact Stories on AAU TV. In case you just joined in, today we are celebrating Professor Irene Bortei-Doku Aryeetey, who was the former Director of Sociology at the Center of Social Policy Studies at the University of Ghana. You can watch this on our dedicated website, tv.aau.org, or on our Facebook and YouTube site, Association of African Universities. But before we went on the break, we were talking about how you reached the top to directorship. But we want to talk about some of the projects that you had taken during your time there, and we want to talk about your gender awareness programs. Can you take us through, because we know at that times it was just about the men, and so this is something new to us. So can you let us know?
Early in my career, 1988, 89, I was invited by UNDP to work with a team of Ghanaian officials from local government as well as UNDP officials to design a gender awareness training program for Ghana. And it was a very exciting program, because frankly, this was the first time that from an official position, Ghana was going to be involved in nationwide gender awareness training. And here I was, a brand new rookie from University of Ghana, being asked to lead this process. And I found it very exciting. So we designed a series of training programs that were directed at senior management, and then we went to the regional level and then the district level. And around the country, we went all around the country with this training program, inviting men and women to come to these workshops where they were familiarized with the concepts of gender. And I tell you, some of the feedback was horrific. It was horrible. And I know, I mean, in some places where we went to do the training, senior men officials walked out of the training sessions because they found it offensive to be told that gender roles were socially constructed and not biological. They thought we were importing foreign concepts and ideologies into Ghana and spoiling women and messing up their wives. And So it was an exciting experience. But
yeah.
at the end of it, by the time we were done with the training program, which took, frankly, about 6-7 months to go around Ghana with a training program, by the time we were done with the last one, and people had nicknamed me gender awareness.
Okay.
I think people were a lot in the public service who had come into contact with the program were a lot more comfortable with the whole notion of gender and, you know, the significance of it and how men and women's roles were in many ways socially engineered rather than biologically, you know, designated, as many of us believed was the case.
Right. So even looking at that time and now, we know that there has been progress. But how has it been? Should it be that should we have been more advanced by now when we are talking about gender, or is still the stereotypes?
I think what you find in Ghana now in relation to attitudes to gender issues is a global phenomenon. Okay. Ghanaians are a lot more aware, because beyond this initial gender awareness training, then there was a whole, you know, plethora of activities related to gender training. It went on for years. It went on for about the next 4 or 5 years. Various agencies were doing gender awareness training. So today, I think you have a lot more awareness, a lot more understanding. There are many Ghanaians today who call themselves feminists and, you know, womanists. And
I was about asking, where do we draw the line?
Oh,
because
no,
we have extreme.
People draw their own lines.
Right.
You know, you have to decide
where you want to
yes,
be and where you want
so.
to draw your
At
line.
the end of the day, what is important, and I think many of us are there now, is to recognize that women's rights are social rights, and that gender rights are rights of men and women, and none is superior to the other. Yeah. But we still need to fight the challenge of abuse, you know, in relationships, and that's why we have DOFSU. Yeah. And if you go to DOFSU today, you will realize that abuse is still a very big challenge in this country. Gender-related abuse, child-related abuse. So I look back on that program, and I honestly think it's one of the most important things that I have done. Yeah. I no longer do much work in gender, but I know it laid a foundation for a lot of people who later on became interested in gender, you know, focused training.
So you pioneered it for us.
I mean, honestly, it makes me feel a little immodest to say that.
Yes, so
but I do believe that program was a pioneering program. And many people run with it. And there are many gurus in gender today, you know, where you would be able to, where you can see that they may not link it to that. Maybe they weren't even aware of that. Yeah. But several things happened since that time that set the ball rolling for
that. Yeah. That's fine. We want to talk about your publications. We know you've written a lot on the MDGs. We know you've written so much doing business in Ghana. But which of your publication really would say this is Professor Ellen? This brings you out. This is your character embodied in a publication. Which one would you choose?
Which one would I choose? There's one that, well, there are two. Okay. I'm not even sure about the circulation, you know, of these publications. Unfortunately, academic publications don't get much circulation. Yeah. But there are two that I've done, which I think made quite an important contribution to our understanding of development in this country. One was with a group of colleagues to study poverty in Ghana, not from the quantitative Ghana Statistical Service approach, but from a qualitative approach where we invited people to express to us what they understood by poverty. And this was in the 90s when Ghana was grappling with the structural adjustment program,
Yes.
and you know, we were supposed to be a star country, achieving so much. And when you went out to talk to people, they felt they were really suffering. So it was a very interesting program. That publication, which was a World Bank publication, tried to delve into people's understanding of poverty and how they, you know, envisioned being taken out of poverty, what would take them out of poverty.
Right.
So that publication, I think, with colleagues like Andrew Norton, Tony Dogbe, David Kobo, Andrew Norton went on to become a very important senior social development advisor at DFID. Yeah, he led the
DFID
World
UK.
Bank team to Ghana. So that was for me a very important publication. Another one,
Okay.
probably more obscure, at the University of Ghana Technical Publication of ISA, was a study I did on sexual harassment.
Right.
And I'm almost tempted to think it's one of the first studies on sexual harassment in Ghana.
Right.
Again, it's at ISA, the readership is not wide, but it reveals so many things.
Yeah. I think what I know about good books is that normally we don't make noise about it. But when you find it, you know you found a gem.
Yes, yes.
And so we will look at that, and then we will go see what we can do for people to see about that specific book. But I know you love writing. Is there going to be a time you'd say, oh, I've stopped writing, I'm not going to write again?
I don't think so.
Okay.
It will depend on my eyesight. So long as my eyesight is good, I like to continue writing. There are so many things to write about.
Yeah. We know you have been lecturing, you've been visiting at, you're a visiting lecturer at universities outside of Ghana. And so who are some of your mentors or mentees? Who are you mentoring? Who are some of these people?
I'll just, briefly mention people who I think, when I look back, mentored me and made a big contribution to where I am today.
Yeah.
Professor Martha Tamaklo, who was a lecturer in the, they've changed the names of the colleges at UST, so I can't, but she taught me sociology. And then she was a hall warden of Africa Hall,
That was
where I
hall
was.
too.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And she has remained a friend till today. And I believe she was one of my main mentors.
Okay.
But then I think my father and my mother were also mentors in different ways. But they certainly made me hunger after, education. And I've had many mentors. I wish I could mention them all.
And who are you also mentoring?
Mentees. I don't know. I think, again, there are many people I can say I have mentored. One of them is Dorcas Dennis Opai-Tete, who now works at the University of Ghana. Ransford Bekwe, who you know very well.
We know.
And also Godin Ewa. I've had so many students that it's difficult to mentor. I think, yes, they made me proud. I think they've made a lot of contribution in what they are doing.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's talk about awards. We want to just talk about one award that you were happy to receive. This recognition was so important for you.
How do I put it? It was an award more to be a fellow of a center than, an award. I got what we call a visiting fellowship at Queen Elizabeth House at the University of Oxford. And I was in the Center for Cross-Cultural Studies on Women at Queen Elizabeth House at the University of Oxford. And it was a very revealing experience. I was there for about a month because I met some very interesting people. I eventually co-authored chapters in a book that was edited by one of the professors there, and so that was a very, important award for me in 1991. Yeah.
I was just born Right. That's okay. So now we want to zoom in on your personal life. We want to know, how did you meet your husband?
How did I meet my husband?
Yeah.
A very interesting story.
Right.
He's also an old Achimotan, an Accra, but that's not where the story started. No. We met at ISA.
Okay.
Yes, when I joined ISA, he was
University
already
of
there.
Ghana.
He was already there, yes, at the University of Ghana. And he helped me to find my first accommodation on campus.
I'm sure
And that's how we became friends.
That's very nice. At your age, you look very fit. How do you stay fit? We want to know the secrets, the regimes to you staying fit.
Oh, I can't pretend that I have a very clearly defined keep fit regime, but there are things that I do which, I mean, when you are, I'll be 67 this year, there are some things you can't do as well as you did before.
Right.
You become more conscious of what you eat, for example. And I think I have gradually become more conscious of food and, you know, impact on health and all that. And then I walk a lot, and I keep busy. I keep busy. So in terms of regime, I think just being active, whatever that means for you, is an important element of keeping good health.
And we want to talk about music. Do you love music?
I love music.
Who do you listen to?
I love music, but you see, this is a problem.
Right.
I don't get to listen to music as much as I used to.
You used to.
It's just difficult with a kind of, lifetime. But I love jazz music.
Right.
I love Presbyterian hymns.
Okay.
And quiet gospel music.
Quiet gospel
Yes.
music. You are making a statement.
Yes,
here.
I am. Some gospel music is a bit, loud and, but so I love a variety of music. But if you want to know what I would love to sit down and listen to regularly, is jazz music. Jazz and Presbyterian hymns.
Presbyterian hymns.
Yes.
I know because I'm a Methodist, so I know the hymns. I know that they are so powerful.
Yes.
And so, talking about Presbyterian, that means you're a Christian and you worship with Presbyterian Society. I know you've done 1 or 2 community outreaches with them. And what do you want to talk about that?
Well, I think it's easiest when you are in the Presbyterian church, then you belong to fellowships.
Okay.
So it is through those fellowships and committees that you tend to do, your outreach work. And I'm also a member of the visitation committee in my church. And through that, we get to interact with a lot of people. But a lot of the outreach work we do is to visit underprivileged people, especially children in institutions. And in my church, at harvest time, we visit the leprosarium. Okay. We visit the Fafraha Children's Home. We go to the Jawulu Special School. So and then we go to the Women's Fellowship. Regularly visits the women at the mental hospital. Right. So these are regular activities that one is involved in as members of the
This question is very important to me. So I want to know, what's your favorite dish? When I am coming to visit you, what do I know would be on the table? Because I love fufu.
You love fufu?
Yes.
You see?
What do you love?
If you ask me what my favorite dish is, it's yam and kontomire stew. I don't eat it often, but I like it.
So yam and kontomire stew can get to your heart.
Yes, very much.
That's so easy to get.
Exactly.
It's not complicated.
No. But I like many Ghanaian dishes.
Right.
Kakro and aboboy is definitely one of them.
Right. So are you keen on sports? What do you enjoy watching?
I'm a couch sports person.
Okay.
I'm the cheerleader.
For, is it football or something?
Football when it's international.
Great.
I like the international games. But I also like to pretend that I'm a Hearts supporter. I have never been to a Hearts.
Okay, since it's Hearts, it's okay that
it's okay.
you pretend not to do at
and
all.
I say pretend because my father was a Hearts supporter.
Right.
He was also an armchair, analyst.
Analyst.
I have never been to the stadium, and so I have never had that experience. And I love basketball, watching it. So I have never been an active sports person.
Your favorite team, basketball?
Basketball, it used to be Lakers.
Lakers, I knew.
It used to be. I mean,
now.
Michigan State
Sure.
produced someone called Magic Johnson before you were born.
Yeah. He's still there though, so we know him.
So I used to like the Lakers. I don't watch them much anymore.
And then on the international football?
International football, honestly, I just flow with whatever my family is flowing with. At the time, it was Chelsea and then Man United.
No, they are no good teams. They are no good teams.
And then there was a time that I was following Arsenal because one of my classmates had a son playing for Arsenal, Welbeck.
Oh,
but I don't even know where Danny Welbeck is now.
Now he left
Anyway, so I am not into sports much.
Yeah.
But
it's good. It's good you follow.
Yeah.
To our final and big question, we have seen so many things that you've done. We've seen your research, your publications, how you've affected lives, empowering women, and all of that. Will you say that you are a fulfilled person?
I think so. I think I wake up every day very conscious of the grace and favor that has followed me through my life, throughout my life. And for that reason, I can claim that I am fulfilled. On the other hand, there is always something to achieve. And I strongly believe that so long as we are alive, we must always look for something to achieve. That is partly driven by a prayer I learned in childhood, which has stuck with me, to thank God every day for everything in it, in that day, and also to give and not to count the cost, and to labor and not to ask for any reward, except to know that I do your will. And I think that drives me every day to find something to do, big and small. So no task is too difficult for me if I can do it.
Thank you so much for your
You're
time.
welcome.
Thank you for sitting with us, talking to us, and we are grateful and we appreciate you. And today we celebrate you, Prof.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you so much.
I appreciate the opportunity to talk about some of
Walk
these
down
things.
memory
Yes, because some of them I have,
Forgotten about that.
I have shelved and not like the gender awareness training. I'm sure many people are surprised to hear this because they've never heard me talk about it. So that's very nice.
And it's
of
good
you.
you are giving us the exclusives.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so that they will come and watch you on our TV. So thank you, Prof.
Thank
for
you very
joining
much.
us.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. This has been Impact Stories on AAU TV, and today we celebrated Professor Ellen Bortei-Doku Aryeetey. My name is Irene Dufie Addai, and I have been your host for today's discussion. Do find us on our dedicated channel, tv.aau.org, and Association of African Universities on Facebook and YouTube. You can also watch it on our TV channel, AAU TV. Thank you for staying with us.